Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the third eagle of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. This morning, the Amazon Synod concluded at the Vatican in Rome, and it turned out exactly as I had predicted. They did not okay female priests, but they did okay married priests. Now, here's the headline from a program on Gloria TV. As you can see, Synod final document, Celibacy abolished, deaconesses requested. Very significant difference there. And Michael Voris and quite a few others had predicted that the whole synod was about female priests, and it was not. It was to bring in a married clergy. And they will use the Amazon shortage of priests just as an excuse. Now, I want to read this article for you. The synod delegates voted with around 140 votes against the will of the gospel to abolish celibacy due to an alleged shortage of priests in the Amazon. Apostasy Bishop Erwin Krautler told journalists that all propositions passed comfortably and were voted in with the required two-thirds majority, including one on invalid deaconesses. Krautler is happy with the final document. Pope Francis said during a closing speech that he will write a post-synodal exhortation, hopefully before the end of the year. He wants time to think, whatever that means. Now, here's a picture of the Pope addressing the concluding meeting. And you will notice, if I put my finger under it, they have a red line around it. They've got the Pachamama pagan idol right in the front row, right in front of Pope Francis. And that's not surprising. And I have showed you all week, in fact, for the last, 3 or 4 weeks, that this Pachamama is a pagan image. It's, as you can see, it's pure ugliness, but they were worshiping this. There's quite a few videos showing that. And that's what, as you can see, was right in front of the Pope as he announced the results of this Amazon Synod. And he stacked the deck. He selected all of those bishops who were favorable to him. It's not at all like the Synod on the Family back in 2014 and 2015. Pope Francis made a mistake of selecting bishops at random from around the world. They did not support his proposition at that time to allow divorced and civilly remarried Catholics to receive communion. But that was his goal. And he was very angry, if you remember. He had to write his own apostolic exhortation, Amoris Laetitia, and include a little tiny footnote, 351, which said, yes, you can give that which is holy to the dogs on occasion. And of course, many bishops around the world, including, for example, Cardinal Supich in Chicago, said that means that anyone and everyone may receive Holy Communion. And what that does is that invalidates the Eucharist because it destroys one of the very important requirements for a valid Eucharist. A priest must say the same words that Jesus said. He must use the same matter that Jesus used. And he must have the same intent that Jesus had. And Jesus did not intend to give that which is holy to the dogs. In fact, he drove away Judas from the Last Supper before giving him Holy Communion. But of course, Satan wants to destroy the validity of the Eucharist because that's what Daniel warns about. As Daniel says in his chapter 10, verse number 3, I ate no desirable bread. That's the Eucharist. And neither flesh nor wine entered into my mouth. That's the Eucharist. Neither was I anointed with oil. That refers to the false prophet who is not anointed with oil. PF is the FP. Pope Francis is the false prophet. And we should have known that this synod would produce only evil results or pagan results because this was their official logo of the Amazon Synod. And as I have explained many, many times here on YouTube, this is derived from the yin-yang. It's right out of the pagan East, which equates good and evil. And that's what this synod did. And I predict that when Pope Francis issues his apostolic exhortation on this synod, he will allow married priests At first, just in the Amazon. But the German bishops have already said that they will request married priests in their country. And as I said, the reason is to dilute the pool of priests. And if a traditional priest says, no, I'm not going along, I am not going to give communion to divorced and civilly remarried Catholics, then his apostate bishop will just say, well, we can replace you with Deacon George Johnson over here. Yesterday he was a deacon, today he's a priest. And that was the purpose of this synod, as I told you ahead of time. And you won't find the real Virgin Mary anywhere around this synod. And that is, of course, Our Lady of Guadalupe. We need to pray to Our Lady of Guadalupe to restore the Catholic Church, because Rome has lost the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist, as prophesied by Mary at La Salette. So let us all pray Mary's Rosary. That is the force that will defeat both the Antichrist and the false prophet.